guys, welcome to Comfycozyup. So I am heading out to day 2. Now I did not go to day 1 of Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. I've been going to it, I think this is my 4th year. So I am taking you guys with me today. Hopefully I can get a good enough footage on my vlogging camera. We'll figure it out, but I'm excited. So I'm gonna get something to eat first with my mother, and then I will head over. I have, I think, 4 different sessions that I'm going to. I have my books because Camilla gonna sign every single one of them. And then get to see some other Caribbean authors while I'm there. So, all right guys, this is the beginning of a hopefully beautiful weekend. All right guys, see you in a few. Guess who I just spotted? Isn't that Kai Miller? How I want to start my day, guys.
Second book, Graham Paloma. We were here in February because she was helping me with my book, but I am so excited. First of all, this is not a soccer song. No? No. This is the real deal. I mean, it is very, very good, and I love this novel so much, and I'm so happy you all are here. I'm sure that you've seen her all over and seen this book.
Child's mud-streaked body had become heavy, and sweat made her slippery in Elena's arms. As she made her way out from the tropical forest behind the Grand Paloma Resort, Elena headed not in the direction of the manicure grounds, but into the water-starved, cracked dirt of the staff quarters. Looking down at the little girl's unconscious form, she whispered, "Please, please, please don't die on me."
Alright guys, session 1 is done, and it was so much fun. The author, she's funny, so I will hope to talk more about it later. I'm just sitting here. We got like 45 minutes for the next one, but it's supposed to be a video they're playing and stuff like that, so we'll see. But yeah, Camilla twice. That's what man. I said I got all your books. We'll see you later for all the signature news.
For those of you who do not know, and they have letters to their name, so y'all better put some respect on this.
That's right.
All of them have big letters. Jason is a professor, a Jamaican scholar, award-winning poet and writer. He's to the far left. His work explores how Afro-diasporic artists and communities shape their futures through embodied philosophies, focusing on the intersection of poetry and philosophy. He's the author of 2 critically acclaimed books of poetry, in his debut collection, Thinking with Trees 1 to 2. We also have Kai Miller, who's the author of 12 books that range across genres, both fiction, non-fiction, actually fiction, non-fiction poetry. He's interested both in movement between genres and between creative writing and literary scholarship. In 2014, he won the Forward Prize for Poetry for the cartographer tries to map a way to
Right? Obviously. I slightly felt overwhelmed in areas. Just because I think I'm in a place where I'm not sure what I believe anymore. These ideas of what remains sacred. Like, what is sacred? How did it become sacred? How did we store it into the sacred? Is that sacred still valuable to us right now? So just how does the human store his landscape and make possibilities through that storing of the landscape? These are the things that interest me. And it's difficult. These thoughts are always difficult for me. And so I think I was stuck on this idea of just making things sacred. Like, what is how did humans end up in this part of the world that we call the Caribbean? And how did we invent all of these stories that we move in and we operate in right now? Stories like race. But I mean all the stories of man that have no place in the biological world, no place in the natural world. I'm talking about realities that we have simply, it is the way that we fiction things until they thicken into what we call reality.
First, the Nancy Pond is a place that my mother and I are on this walk and we're going to this place. I heard this name all the time as a child in the stories my mother told. Nancy Pond is a place she went to, often a place around which she played. It's part of the geography of her childhood. There is magic in the name Nancy Pond. I've always been hungry for the story behind the name, for projecting myself into those childhood stories of insouciance and play.
Alright guys, so 2 sessions down, just finally got all my books signed from Camilla, and Lord, I am in, this is a feel good moment to see him, and he's just, his personality, he's amazing. His panel was awesome. I mean, the whole time, I didn't even sit up straight. I was like leaning over. That's how much I'm like consuming all their words and all the things they're saying. So right now, I'm outside. They have corn soup. Somebody eat some of that, and then we get back into another panel. It's a long day, but I'm having a good time. So yeah, fill you in.
Boyce Taylor is a poet and teaching artist and a mentor to so many of us. She earned an MFA from Stone Coast at the University of Southern Maine and an MSW from Fordham University. Cheryl is the author of 5 previous collections of poetry: Raw Air, Night When Moon Follows, Condensing the Body, Arrival, and We're Not Wearing Helmets. And her memoir and poetic tribute to her son, Number 5, represents. We hope will take special place here this evening.
Thank you, Roberta. And thank you all for being here. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. When I start talking about the league, anything goes. So be careful. 1962, everybody pretty. All the neighborhood children had good hair. Douglas girls with ribbons braided in their locks. Everybody pretty except me. All the girls have nice long curls except me, with a few nutty dry peas for bangs on top. Press it, Daddy say. A good hat come go do. A good hat come go do, Grandma say. A perm go last longer, Tanty Berna say. What stupidness? Leave she here alone. That's Mommy talking. Everybody pretty nice. bleat, shoulder bump, shoulder kissing, mouth hiss.
That's the little boy out there. Yeah. Aria. This little boy playing the steel pan. He's 6. The little boy playing the steel pan out there.
From a biku, and ocean became Ursula. My history lies under the over. Fingers dropped me together in pieces, rough, but not too rough. I reach out with the money and I'm vortexed into her young, old, young eyes, thinking today she will pull me into her narrows that widen and widen, but she just say, go on, gal.
I wonder why we just a fuss, a fight, me kitchen. And no beef, and no steak, and no chicken. And some tonkan meal, few grain of red peas, one coconut to make a pot taste sweet. And who feels it, knows it, and who knows it, feels it hard. Pressure. They might come with them tanker. They might come with them jeep. To come, pressure, we go and look for rubber. No worry, check we, for this is the unemployment street.
The honors chemistry textbook at my public high school was missing 1/3 of the elements of the periodic table. My English teacher would return papers with red wine stains and reeking of weed smoke. 60,000 bridges in our country are architecturally deficient.
A new season. My mother always said boys are best at taking. I once loved a boy who turned pomegranates in my yard into salt. In the mirror, I see a donkey's head without a home. Daisies dance atop her hair, and she teaches me how to wail for cover.
I hope their classes are funny, but it's heavy. The whole book is heavy, Jason. I think what was really on my mind is just all this, like we're here in a space celebrating Caribbean literature, and the generation that is responsible for this space, some of them have passed. And I mean, I really mourn that. Some of them are really special to me. But the first poem, which is from the same collection, was requested. And so I will read it. Good shot. A mathematical problem I have been unable to solve. Okay. A mathematical problem I have been unable to solve. In Heroes Park, Jamaica, there is a grave. And in that grave there are 26 coffins, and those 26 coffins share the remains of 145 women. Let's go back. There was a fire. A sudden leap of orange against the 1 a.m. sky, and then shots, and then sirens filling the warm Kingston night, a warning of everything that was to come, and of everything that was to come. And that is yet to come. I was barely 2, but I remember my mother crying the next night. Answer I present for Professor Eddie Barr, Public Orator of the University of the West Indies, Mona. Chancellor, here at the foot of the hill, I acknowledge the difficulty of the climb. For how does one eulogize the eulogist? How do we song the loss of song? Sir, it is well known that many a proud and weeping mom would make the journey from out of town to this plantation turned campus, come to see Punky, our son in hat and gown, announced on stage, not as Punky, our son, but by government names even the mothers had forgotten. And And so committed were they to this one duty, the cheering on of the come good after all the hearty picnic. They were surprised to find themselves caught up in the sonorous heights of Eddie Bauer's citations, risen first to their feet, and then higher and higher and higher up into the Mona sky tinted pink like the setting of empire.
Friends, Caribbean people, countrymen, that brings us to the end of Laureates of the Caribbean Society. Put your hands together for Jason Allen Cooper, Rosa Maneskin, Rasta Chiba, Carlos Andres Gomez, Nadia Allen, Ali Miller. I'm inviting them to come up and say that this is our kind of project. And Carlos, so you get a 1% example to go now, man.
Hey guys, so day one for me of Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival is done. Highlight, absolutely, Sherry, Boyce, Taylor, and her talking about grief, losing her son, which was the guy from Tribe Called Quest, which I did not know. So that was a sad moment. And then of course my belly was full when it comes to Kai Miller. He's just amazing. He's exactly who I thought he was gonna be. The personality, the vibes he just give off. Very funny, very much like that guy. Love his poetry and love the session that he was a part of. And then just so many different things, but this was long, guys. I was here from 1 o'clock and it's almost 9 and I'm just leaving. And it's raining, but I will talk more about this tomorrow. I will be back here tomorrow for the final day, day 2 for me, which is day 3 for the event, and I will give you more rundown tomorrow. But yeah, let me hurry up and get something to eat and get in the house. See y'all in a few. Hey guys, welcome back to day 2, and it's also the last day of Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. And as you can see, I'm under umbrella because it's still raining, but it's supposed to stop soon. It's not a washout, it's just not a sunny day. I could deal with that, but for now I'm running a little late because I was editing part 1. This way I can finish part 2 tonight and have this video up by Tuesday. So it took me 2 hours. The time is when got a hold of me, so I did not get to eat any breakfast, so I'm heading down to do that. So I'm probably going to be about maybe 20 minutes late based on the time, probably 20 minutes late, which is not so bad. And there's 3 authors that's there today. I read 2 books. The other book I didn't get to, but I have it. So I bought all 3 books with me. And I don't know if anything else I need to pick up. I bought 3 books yesterday, 2 poetry, 1 novel. And I don't know, I might walk around and look and see what else they have that is Caribbean. But yeah, I'll be taking you guys with me for today. Definitely won't be staying that late. I have to go back home in the morning. So yeah, I'm not staying late as I did yesterday. So probably won't do the last session. But anyway, see you guys in a few. All right.
Entire lineup of today's programs, which consists of 4 events, 3 short films, courtesy of partnership with the Caribbean Film Festival. We hope it will speak to you and bring you some sort of relief or hope.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming, and I do suggest that you stay for the whole day because yesterday there were often little kind of treats for people in between the sessions. So there's treats for you to see in the films, and there's treats for you to have out there as well. Welcome to all of our writers, and congratulations on all of your books. Kind of in
lieu of a traditional introduction from me, I would love for each of you to introduce yourselves by saying your name, the name of your book, and then telling us when did you start to write and when did you start to feel that you were a writer, because those are not necessarily the same time. By the way, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and then since most of you probably haven't read all 3 books, you may have read one, I'm going to ask them to share about 5 minutes to give you a little teaser so you'll want to go and buy the books after. Then we'll have some more conversation amongst ourselves, and I'll open it up to some questions from the audience. Who would like to start?
Okay, everyone's looking at me. Hi everyone, it's such a pleasure to be here, and let me just say by way of introduction that this year more than ever, gatherings like this are downright medicinal. So I really thank ECLF for having us, and just to say that these kinds of gatherings are absolutely necessary and really active survival. And on the question of when I first started to write, I think I've always written. You know, I mean, a lot of writers are introverts and observers, and I think that certainly applied to me. I was the kid who was always hiding under the table when the adults were talking, eavesdropping, gathering intel. But when I started to feel like a writer, I think, was when I realized that the words had an impact on people, that there was an effect to the way that I would put words together, or put words together. And I think from there was a leap of several hurdles to actually being a novelist, or feeling like a novelist, or a legitimate writer.
Service, and it would fill the gaps of silence in our conversations. The British accents would beam the dramatic events of the 1970s to our ears in the little farming town of Princestown in southern Trinidad. For every country the BBC broadcaster gave news about, Uncle Sundar had a story, almost like he had visited them all. When Nixon resigned as American president, Uncle Sundar celebrated, telling me it was a victory for Indian people everywhere. I was confused about the link, but I didn't question him.
When everyone saw the scarlet ibis perched atop the once notorious house of ill repute near the edge of the village, there was a collective shiver, although no one would admit it. At first, no one thought anything of the roosting bird. The village was a mile from a tributary that spat river water out into the sea, where a mangrove blossomed and where 50 or 60 ibises nested and fed. This ibis had just lost its weight, we figured. But the ibis stood on the house where Catherine the Great Disembowler had once ruined the village's reputation through wooing, then tearing men asunder, and so this ibis unsettled us. It suggested a gravestone marking a glum future. It tightened penises. And so ibis rumors nestled. Bacchanal, said Hospitalis, Comet, said Nikki, Maljo, so the glasses and goatee newly graduate, aka Royston Burns. A fourth member of our crew of wet sponges said that the bird had been sent to distract from the news of the day. 3 village fishermen still missing, held in Venezuela for ransom for a week now.
Just my love for Barbados. I mean, in the book, it might not come across as love, because they do a lot of skewering, and as I said, the island is plunged into chaos, at the instigation of this protagonist. But it was a way for me to look at the class and complexion and racial dynamics within Barbadian society, which, are the case, I think, prevalent throughout the Caribbean. It's not just a Barbadian thing. And indeed, any post-colonial society that continues to labor under the vestiges.
Of this book, guys.
Welcome. So excited to have you all. I love this topic. I think it's going to be really, and I'm going to try to stick with the topic a little bit today. Who learns homeopathy, right, at the skirt hem of her mother, a doctor, in the mid-1800s. Eventually, her mother's able to send her off to become a doctor. Liberty ends up marrying a doctor and moving to Haiti, where she soon realizes that being away from her mother makes for a slightly unhappy life. The story is based on a true story. Can you talk about how you unearthed that story and what truths you wanted to emphasize?
Sure. So the story is based on Dr. Susan Smith McNee Stewart, who is from here in Brooklyn. She was the daughter of one of the founders of Luxville, which is a free black community that's located in central Brooklyn, founded in 1838. And was sort of like a space of black independence, black self-determination in the US. And I had worked at the Weeksville Heritage Center, which is a museum in central Brooklyn that covers all of that history. And when I worked there, we did an oral history with one of Susan Smith McNee's descendants.
Always, just playing in the woods and wanting to learn more about nature. And going back and forth to Trinidad as a child, we would go visit my grandmother in South Florida Pooch. I was in that generation where our parents shipped us off on planes without adults and sent us down there in the summer. And my grandmother also had that yard that you mentioned full of aloes and ratchet, which was a cactus, Wonder of the World, Shadow Benny, all of the spices. And what I really always took away was that, for one, no one can be hungry because, your sister has matzah, you have zabuka, like everyone's sharing the food, but also everyone is sharing the medicine. No one person was like the holder of all of that knowledge. And, you just knew who you had to go to get certain medicine or certain healing. And then fast forward, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, go to medical school, took the MCAT and all of that. And then I discovered farming as a way of life and a way of being. And for me, food as medicine was the entry point to that. And I'm out there farming on the eastern shore of Maryland. Caitlin actually interviewed my aunties. Speaking of, passing down knowledge through women. We're not related, but they take that auntie title very seriously. And, that's what they do, is pass on knowledge to the next generation.
First of all, for somebody who can't keep a plant alive, this is really important. It's really important to write about it. But,
and by the way, there's plenty of plants on this cover, right?
It has nothing to do with me. But sorry, what was your question?
The importance of roots and land in the story. Yeah,
Okay.
I helped Donna launch this book in DC, so I love this novel. So thank you.
So I think a lot of it really goes back. I mean, I guess all of our heritage, all of our stories is really about the land, really about farming. We were brought to the Caribbean, or most of us were brought to the Caribbean to farm, and I think largely because of the knowledge that we had, not just the strengths, the physical strengths, but I think there was so much that I think is missing from the story that is told about why we were brought to the Caribbean and to the Americas. Really had a lot to do with the knowledge that our ancestors had. So I think that, specifically for my family in particular, a lot of it, my grandfather was a farmer, my grandmother sold some of the stuff that they planted. My father studied at the Jamaica School of Agriculture. So I think farming, it skipped me. I mean, definitely skipped me. But that has been a part of my family, part of all of our stories. But I think too that the other part of it is that we want to be rooted. We want to have a place that is ours. And I think that for all of us as Caribbean people, as we migrate and move around the world, I think we're always looking for and searching for that place that is ours.
Having to take that myself, I'm thinking of even writing that, you have to be outside of yourself to see yourself. And so I'm curious about what that interaction was.
Well, because my work is really about reimagining Black archives, my work is part of the archives. So there was no question of whether I should or shouldn't be in the book. Yes, I created it was my vision, but my work is in conversation with all of this work and all of the makers in it, so it just made sense for me to be a part of that conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is gorgeous. It's beautiful. And yet,
I know you can't have everybody in there, so I'm so interested in your selection process. Like, you know, what was the process of the search like for these makers?
Well, you know, it's interesting because, of course, all the Jamaicans out there, this book could have been about Jamaica, okay? Because there are so many artists coming out of the country, okay? But what happened was I was really, because I worked with an editor very closely, and what happened when I was in grad school and I started to look at the different makers, again, who were investigating the region with a similar lens, I saw themes. And so those themes helped to inform who should be in the book or not. So if their work was talking about one of the themes, then we approached them. Of course, we didn't get all yeses, but we got many. But that was how I was able to edit. Volume 2. That's right. Creating new futures for the region, for reimagining colonial narratives through an Afrofuturistic lens, to repurposing everyday objects and materials, to implementing ancestral processes such as manjack weaving, coil building in clay, and painting with sugar to expand Black diasporic experiences. So from my research, I started to imagine what would it be like to converse with these Caribbean makers and document what they had to say and how they worked. And since my studio practice centers on Pan-Africanism, by connecting the community and reimagining Black archives, I wanted to gather a group of like-minded Caribbean makers to create the book I wish I had in graduate school and contribute to the historical record for future generations.
This book is an offering. It's an offering of love. And as a result of what it is fundamentally, it has forced me to be extremely vulnerable. Right? So I began this book over the past few years. It started pre-COVID. So late 2018, 2019, started. And I wanted to do something on the heels of High Mass. Because I had a lot of nervous creative energy that I didn't know what to do with. And I said, oh gosh, but which is I going to do? Which is I going to do? I said, all right, you know what? I feel I'm going to start a new book here, right? And, you know, right? Because the last one was so easy to do, eh? Right? So, yeah, man, right? So, see me scribbling down, well, what is I trying to do here? What is I trying to do? And the notion of arrival came really in conversation, as most great projects really do, which is to say that this book is, for me, it's a great project, great in terms of its capacity, great in terms of its effect and its impact on me, and great in terms of its ambition, what it attempts to do. For objects, objects for images, images for words, words for other words, and so on. They will appear as for other things. I have set them this way. I know you will supplant my intentions with your own whenever you arrive. You are not here yet, of course. I have to imagine you as I write. I do not know what you will look like, only that you will appear. I do not know if you will appear, but I must write as if you will.
Thank you for BTR, and again, I'm going to use privilege to shout out. My family's living archive. My Auntie March is here. It's going to be 92 in November. Wow! Here, I'm like, Auntie March, you have to come. I don't love it. All right. So thank you so much.
Alright guys, so that was it for 2025 Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival. I had an amazing time. The panels were so informative, so special, and so good. So I'm definitely going to do a blog post talking more about some of the topics that they discussed. I love the whole idea of the land and connecting to the land. And what if you don't live the land that you wanted to live? That kind of conversation was so interesting. But I will do a blog post to put my thoughts together on the entire event. Until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and let me know what you thought. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.